So we need to regulate the exploitation of groundwater. So as I told before, we need to monitor the groundwater exploitation, because more number of bore wells if you dig means it is automatically, it will affect near of the wells, and automatically it will affect for the groundwater tables. So that reason we need to monitor and we need to control the exploitation of groundwater. So we what means, first of all we are dependent on that fresh water. If we are not available fresh water, then we are, of course we are going for groundwater. Fresh water available only in south region, and if you're going for north regions or Punjab regions, there are lot of that depend on only groundwater table and groundwaters. So and then priorities based water we should use. First one we go for drinking, and next for water and irrigation, hydropower and navigation, and industrial and others. The last priority we should go for industrial. First priority we should go for drinking water first priority, then only we should go for irrigation. And then because food properties and food production, that is very much important. If you are not getting food, that everything is depend on the water only. The basic need of water, we are telling that basic need is water. If you are not having water, then it is very difficult to survive and sustain life of human beings, animals, every persons. ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು ಜೀವಿ ಸಸ್ಟೈನ್ ಆಗಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ನೀರು ಬೇಕೇ ಬೇಕಾಗ್ತದೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಪ್ರಯಾರಿಟೀಸ್ ಏನು ಕೊಡಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ವಾಟರಿಗೆ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಪ್ರಯಾರಿಟಿ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು. ನೀರಿದ್ರೇ ಜೀವಿ ಬದುಕಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಇದೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಡ್ರಿಂಕಿಂಗ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಫಸ್ಟಿಗೆ ಕುಡಿಯುವ ನೀರಿಗೆ ಪ್ರಾಧಾನ್ಯ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಇರಿಗೇಷನಿಗೆ, ಕೃಷಿ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಪವರ್ ಜನ್ರೇಷನಲ್ಲಿ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು, ನೇವಿಗೇಷನ್ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು, ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿಯಲ್, ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಆ ಥರ ಪ್ರಯಾರಿಟೀಸ್ ವೈಸೇ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು. ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಇಷ್ಟ ಬಂದಾಗೆ ವಾಟರ್ ಸಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡೋದು, ಇಷ್ಟ ಬಂದಾಗ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಲಿದ್ರೆ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಕೆಲವರು ಕಾರ್ ವಾಶ್ ಅಂತ ಮಾಡಿ ತುಂಬ ಟೈಮ್ ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ವಾಟರ್ ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಸಪೋಸ್ ಟು ಹ್ಯಾಪನ್, because we know that the importance of one drop of water each and every person should know. Then only that people can understand what is the usage of water and what is the necessity of conserving the water. Because we don't know, when we are facing the problem of water, if you face very critical situation for water, then only the people get to know what is the usage of water and how much water we can store and how we can conserve the water. Everything they can know, but that reasons they should get some knowledge related to the water scarcity and conservation of water. The national water policy, in that matter they should more concentrate and they should work more related to that one. The national water policy should educate each and every person related to how to conserve and desalination, how the people are doing the desalination techniques in outside of the countries, how they are conserve the water, and at least the people can make rainwater harvesting structures in their homes near of a small pit, trench they make it, and they can use the rainwater and they can utilize that water in for further use. So that kind of small structures they can develop and they can use it for their water scarcity problem. So it is very much essential. The water rates for surface water and groundwater should be rationalized with due regard and interest of small and magnified farmers. The policy also deals with participation of farmers and voluntary agencies, water quality, water zoning, conservation of water, flood and drought management, and erosion, etc. The policy also deals with the participation of farmers. Each and every farmers, they should voluntarily, they should take initiative related to the national water policy, how to conserve the water and how we can make use of that water in future use and future generation, how that water conservation, and that everything they should policy, they should make some implementation related to the national water policy. And water zoning, conservation of water, flood and drought and management, erosion, etc. As I told, that flood and drought, and if water comes excess quantity, that is also problem it will create. It will not that if it comes more excess quantity of water, it is not useful water. Because if it comes more water, what will happen? Soil is already moisture, then water will not infiltrate into the soil. So what will happen? Soil is if it not infiltrate into the soil, means soil water will it's converting it as runoff and it will reach us to the sea. So we can't use that water for our further use or future generation. So that water is reaches to the sea. So that reasons we need the flood is also, it's not we need to make some policy for related to that we need to study up related to the flood, and so we need to develop some law related to that, how we can control the flood, everything. And draft also work. Draft means water is in low quantity. Flood means water is excess quantity. There is in two side also problems. If it is comes water is more quantity and heavy quantity, that is also creates a huge problem. And if it is lesser quantity, that is also creates problem. So that two point is very much important in that drought management and erosion, etc. What if it is comes in flood, what happens? So soil erosion is creates, that is also problems. Yes, no? And this everything we need to study related to that one national water policy. Not only this much, and we need to study more related to the national water policy, and we should have some policy, we should develop some policy related to that, and we should control the systems proper way. Although groundwater is although the groundwater is a although groundwater is a community resource, but it's still perceived as individual property, and there are inter-regional and interstate and intra-state and also intersectoral disputes in sharing of water. So that is also for national policy when proper policy is required. So natural water bodies and drainage channels are being encroached upon and diverted for other purposes. We know that some industries are there encroaching the river sides. We know the almost when issues comes in South Country region also, they are encroached in your Netravati river. They are built some one industry above the sea, above the river. So that means they are encroached lot of places in the river. So that is what happens. It automatically it creates floods. So if there is no chance to enter flow the river water, so what will happen? It will enter our land. So that is creates floods. So that is also problem, encroach. That also we need to develop some national water policy, how their people are encroaching the rivers. That is very much dangerous, and it creates, that is the main source of flood occurring. And diverting river, we know that one diverting river, the major example is there in our place also, the Netravati river they are diverting, and how it is creates problem. That is also we need to develop one policy for the related to that. And although the groundwater is a community resource, but it's still perceived as individual property. As I told before, that regulate the exploitation of groundwater, that is we can community resource, but we can't own it water. We can use it and we can't own it. So the people are behaving the water is like our individual property. That is actually wrong. It's not supposed to happen. So for that national policy should develop, and to bring some rule related to the national water policy. And that is also one important point. And the water sharing and distribution amongst the states should be guided by national perspective with due regard to water resources availability and needs within the river basin. And training and research effort should be planned. And water framework law also, it's very necessary for in that national water policy. The national water policy of 2012 emphasizes that there is a need to evolve a national framework law for water management. The existing acts like the Indian Assessments Act 1882 etc., that give properties right to land, that is gives property rights to a land. And we can say that one that give property rights to landowner on groundwater under his land rather than treating it as a community resource need to. Adaptation to climate change, and it's a climate change also important matter. Climate change is likely to increase the variability of water resources, affecting human health and livelihoods. The different adaptation strategies are increasing water storage in the form of soil moisture, ponds, groundwater, small and large reservoirs. Better demand management of water through adaptation of adoption of compatibility agriculture strategies and cropping patterns, and improved water application method such as land leveling and drip or sprinkler irrigation. Stakeholder participation in land soil water management with scientific inputs from local research and academic institutions to evolve different agriculture strategies, reduce soil erosion and improve soil fertility. Planning and management of water resource structures such as dams, floods for everything. Enhancing the water available for use. The policy suggests the following ways to augment of water available for utilization. Because of rapid urbanization and industrialization, we are facing the scarcity of water, and demand is more and supply is less. So we should deal with demand and supply. And rainfall needs to be used directly, and inadvertent evaporation of water needs to be avoided. And more thing, aquifers need to be mapped to know the quantum and quality of groundwater resource. Local community should be involved in the process. This may periodically updated. As we know, the declining groundwater levels over exploited areas need to be arrested by introducing improved technologies of water use and encouraging community based management of aquifers. Interbasin transfer of water from surplus basin to deficient various areas need to be encouraged, not merely for increasing the production of, but also meeting basic human need for activity, equity and social justice. And also last class we studied integrate watershed management activities with groundwater purpose need to be undertaken to increase the soil moisture, reduce sediment yield and increase the overall land and water productivity. For these, existing programs such as Mahatma Gandhi National Global Employment may be used for farmers to harvest rainwater and improve the groundwater research. And demand management of water use efficiencies. The methods and policy suggested system to benchmark water use such as water footprints. That is the method done, and water auditing should be developed. Project appraisals and environment impact assessment for water uses, particularly for industrial projects, should be include analysis of water footprints. Recycle and reuse of water, including return flows, should be the general norm. Water needs to be saved during irrigation. Methods encouraging saving irrigation technology should be encouraged. Small local level irrigation through small bunds, field ponds, agricultural and engineering methods for water development need to be encouraged. And also users of water should be involved in monitoring the pattern of water use if it is causing problems like unexpected depletion of building up of groundwater, salinity and alkalinity, etc. And water pricing also should be governed by the following principles. The water charges should be preferable as a rule be determined by volumetric basis, such as charges should be reviewed periodically. And one more thing, the principle of differential pricing may have to be retained for the pre-MTU uses of water for drinking and sanitation, and high priority allocation for ensuring food security and supporting livelihood for the poor. After this, the water should allocated and priced according to economic principles. A water regulatory authority should be established in each state. The authority shall be responsible for fixing and regulating the water tariff system and charges to be levied. Recycle and reuse of water should be incentivized through a property planned tariff system. Water Users Association should be given statutory powers to collect and retain portions of water charges, manage the volumetric quantum of water related to them, and maintain the distribution system of their jurisdiction. The overall drawn of groundwater should be minimized by regulating the use of electricity of its extraction. And conservation of river corridors, water bodies and infrastructure should be undertaken in a regulated and scientifically planned manner through community participation. And next, encroachments and diversion of water bodies and drainage channels must not be allowed, as we discussed. Wherever such diversion have taken place, they should be restored, as we discussed. Pollution of sources of water and water body should not be allowed. Water bodies should be periodically inspected by third party, and a stringent punitive action should be taken against persons responsible for pollution. It is more important to ensure that pollution does not reach groundwater because groundwater cleanings is more difficult. Legally imposed dam safety services need to be ensured in the center as well as states. We discussed about in the problems. And project planning and implementation. Considering the existing water stress condition and the likelihood for further worsening situation, water resource projects should be planned as per the following efficiency benchmarks. I will tell one by one. All clearances, including environmental and investment clearance, required for implementation of projects should be made time bound to avoid the economic losses incurred due to delays implementation. To avoid time and cost overruns, concurrent monitoring of project, state and central levels should be undertaken by timely intervention. All components of water resource projects should be executed closely after they are planned so that intended benefit start occurring immediately and there is no gap between the potential create and utilized. This all comes under national water policy implementation. And other main features are to ensure access to minimum quantity of potable water for essential health and hygienic to all citizens available within easy reach of the household. As we discussed, 2012 policy is the main concern about this one, to ensure access to a minimum quantity of potable water for essential health and hygiene to all citizens. For all citizens, the minimum quantity of potable water, quality water should be required for that persons. To curtail subsidy to agricultural electricity users, to the food productions or the agriculture users, they should get some subsidy. Setting up a water regulatory authority to keep aside a portion of the river flow to meet the ecological needs and to ensure that the high flowers and corresponding time and flower regimes. To give statutory power to water users association to maintain the distribution system. Next, project benefited families to bear part of the cost of resettlement and rehabilitation of project affected families. To remove the large disparity between stipulation of water supply in urban areas and in rural areas. The support of National Water Framework Law. So, the key functions of National Water Policy we discussed one will include incentivize state governments to implement irrigation projects in reform mode. And next, lead the national aquifer mapping and groundwater management program. The third one, develop a location specific program for rejuvenation of rivers, etc. The committee proposed that national water policy should have 8 divisions. So before the key function of national water policy, what we discussed that one, incentivize state governments to implement irrigation projects to reform mode. So irrigation projects that when we are reforming that one, it will in the reform mode. Then here that specified the rejuvenation matter, because we should rejuvenate the rejuvenation of rivers, etc., even the lakes also. It will improve the conservation of water. So what is the necessity of rejuvenating means, when we are rejuvenating the lakes means it will, because when that wetlands, we can say the top surface is covered total of that leach or we can say then vegetation, small kind of vegetation that covered in the grass, covered in the top surface. So the oxygen content is not available in ecosystem of that lakes. So that water is not water is all anytime it's water is in the polluted condition. So we can't use that water in for our further use. So that reasons we need to rejuvenate the lakes. We can say that in South Kendra region only 150 lakes is there, but that in that 150 lakes, all the lakes is not in working conditions. All the lakes are dry condition. You just imagine what is the situation of our regenerating system, and what is the system of our just imagine what is the system of our conservation, how it is working, because the lot of systems, lot of we can say that conservation of water, if we can save it using this regenerating these lakes, but we are not concentrating related to that one. We can save it, that water, and we can use it for further. It's that only not conservation of water, it automatically it will recharge the groundwater also. The recharging the groundwater automatically it improve the groundwater table and increase the groundwater table, and it is very much useful to in shortage condition we can use that water, and groundwater recharge will takes place automatically. This is natural groundwater recharge, and we can construct artificial lakes also, that also increase in the groundwater recharge, and that is huge cost will takes place. It means already that lakes is having, we just regenerate the lakes, it will cost it's improved, but cost will increase, but automatically we can make it some rule, and we can save it the water in that systems. So this is the system is there, and irrigation management policy also we should develop for that one. So that reasons we need to, and here these are the systems, irrigation reform divisions. These divisions will assist states to focus on irrigation projects and improve the water management. River regeneration division. This division will help participatory institutions at various levels to implement region-specific programs of regenerating of rivers. We know that on Ganga rivers that how they are regenerating. So that is also one of the main policy and systems. That main problem is our human beings. They are not maintaining proper way of rivers, because river is our source. If we are having fresh water, and then we can maintain proper health. So but we are not thinking about that hygienic condition. So that reasons river regeneration division is important, and that frames the the committee proposed that the national water policy should have 8 divisions. In that, one division is river regenerate river regenerating divisions. So, and we can say the rural the main reasons is what national water policy, what is lack of awareness. The rural people not aware of laws, and lack of participation. The people they make policy, they are not involved in that, especially in rural areas, because and where that rural people they can't read and write, so they are not involved in that national water policy. So and most of the place in bottom to top approach we should bring, because action plan to be prepared be implemented to higher authority. If because that is also natural, we need to develop that national water policy, that kind of systems is there. So in that according to this all we considering, the committee proposal in the national water policy should they made different systems. In that systems they should consider all those things, what is the problems happens, because what we are studying the environment law, that is water control and water quality. It is studying and understand the water law, it's not easy. It is same almost studying the history of the society, and so that they reform that some divisions. One is river regeneration divisions. The divisions will help participatory institution at various levels to implement region and specific programs of regeneration of rivers. So there is also major role and major key is there. So how we can regenerate the lakes, how we can take participatory in that regenerating the lakes, that is very much important in that, and regeneration of race. And aquifer mapping and participatory of groundwater management divisions. This division will lead the national aquifer management program for mapping and management of aquifer system in the country. To facilitate its implementation, it will build a relationship with state groundwater departments, research institution, etc. It also assesses and estimates groundwater resources at the national level. It means national aquifer management program for mapping and management of aquifer system in the country. So whenever we are making groundwater recharge, it will directly connected with aquifer systems. So aquifer mapping and participatory groundwater management division, this is they are having major role in that recharging the groundwater. So and exploitation of groundwater, they should monitor that exploitation of groundwater, and they should maintain that proper groundwater level. They are having some database every year they should check what is the groundwater level changes and what is the groundwater depletion takes place. Everything they should consider, and they should they should monitor that one, because they are having the major role in that aquifer mapping and participatory groundwater management divisions. And what is the water security division? The divisions will devise policies and programs to tackle the challenges related to water security. This include ensuring the right to water for life and protecting the agrarian economy from the impact of floods and droughts. I said that one that is very much important, the water security divisions. Water security means one of the ensuring the right to water for life. I said that everyone is having right to water, everyone is having that that rule is right to water and right to save, but they are not having right to own it. That right of security in the water security divisions, if they are having in dispute or any creates it happens in the local regions, the people are consulting that persons, and they will going for that one right to water for life, and protecting the agrarian economy from the impacts of floods and droughts. And floods, protecting the agrarian economy, because we all know that when its flood comes, the impact is huge, and it creates a lot of problem for that drought conditions, and it will create a lot of problems for normal condition. So that reasons we need to make one small division, that is called water security division. That is very much essential for that divisions, and they are having the major responsibility. They control that floods and droughts, and they are having the major responsibility that droughts means the groundwater depletion. They should monitor that same thing like what aquifer mapping and participatory groundwater management, they are doing the same rule, the same kind of rules they should develop, and water scarcity division they should make that one. And urban and industrial water divisions. So in this division, the division will help devise cost effective and appropriate technology to recycle and reuse urban and industrial wastewater. It will also map aquifers in urban India and develop strategies for sustainable groundwater management in cities. These divisions will help devise cost effective and appropriate technology to recycle and reuse urban and industrial wastewater. So as we know that one the division, the urban or industrial wastewater, many wastewater is there in urban and industrial, they should monitor that proper way and recycle and reuse that water, and they should manage a proper way, and they should concentrate on recycle and reuse of that water. Water quality division, the reason we will develop and implement programs to control pollution of water bodies and aquifers. It means that aquifer pollution is very much dangerous for a human being, because we are drawing the water of groundwater table, and we can't control we can't purify that aquifer groundwater water. So we need to monitor that one, how we can control that one groundwater, how we can control that it's like without how we can control that monitoring and changing the pollutions. So that is prevent the pollutions, that is very important. And water data management transparency divisions, this division will create and maintain a transparent and accessible system of data management on water for public use. So data management means different data is there, groundwater table data is there, and water surface water data is there, so open well data is there, so different data is there. That water should be used in public use. Generally it will be useful in research area and in that scientific approach, that in that kind of usage in there using this data. So this data is very much essential for that one in future use and further use. That this data is very much useful for that. For that point of view, this need to consider where they should develop, they should maintain the data, water data management transparentation. If you want any data related to the research work or anything, you can go and you can ask that related data, and we can get it on data. So that is very much important. And knowledge management and capacity of building divisions. This division will be responsible for development of institution for capacity building of water professional in water and land management. Knowledge of management and other recommendation of Committee of Irrigation Management Transfer IMT. States should only be involved in the development of irrigation structures such as main systems of secondary canals, irrigation structures from the level of tertiary canals and below should be responsible for water users association of farmers. IMT will improve the equitable access to the water by all farmers and result in 20% saving in some water. The equitable manner, the water should get for all persons, that is very much important. And participatory groundwater management. Groundwater needs to be recognized as a common pool resources and its continuous unchecked and extraction needs to be stopped. Corrective measures such as establishing required drilling depths, distance between wells, cropping pattern that does not require over withdrawn of the resource should be adopted. Rejuvenation of rivers. River basin in the country underrepresented by the officers of the CWC and CGW. The proposed NWS should have offices at regional levels to cover all river basins in the country. These officers should be ensure surface and groundwater interdisciplinary expertise for river basin management. Knowledge management and capacity building divisions. This division will be responsible for development of institution for capacity building of water professionals in water and land management. And other recommendation of the committee are irrigation management transfers, IMT. States should